Life in the Gobi Desert was not about survival in battle, but endurance in sand, silence, and staggering cold. This episode explores the often forgotten labor behind the Mongol Empire's logistics. The camel tenders who moved empires, one sore step at a time. Tonight, we drift across dry winds and endless sands. Not to wage war, but to carry it. We are entering the Gobi, a landscape too wide for maps, too cold at night, too hot by noon. But someone had to cross it. Not warriors, not kings, camel tenders, quiet men, half forgotten, who moved the Mongol Empire one step at a time, with ropes in their hands and sand in their teeth. Let the wind fall quiet around you, and imagine waking in the middle of nowhere. Why it sucked to be a Gobi camel tender, your eyes open to the sound of wind. It moans across the stones, sliding over your blanket like cold breath. You are not in a tent, just a felt cover draped over curved sticks, barely enough to stop the wind. The desert is not sand. Not here. It's gravel, rock, and broken bone. You roll to your side. Your back aches from the day before. Your mouth is dry, even though you barely spoke. You tend camels, 30 of them. They kneel nearby in silence, breathing steam into the early chill, their bodies steaming like stones left too long in the sun. You check their feet first. One is cracked. You sigh. You take out your needle and leather strap, begin stitching, slow and careful. The others must be loaded. Heavy bags of salt, fermented mare's milk, sometimes letters, sometimes weapons. You know better than to ask. The caravan master nods once. Today, it will be 60 kilometers. You nod back. No one speaks unless necessary. You guide from the rear. The camels know the path better than you. You just keep them moving. But sometimes they stop, dig their knees in, stare at the horizon. You shout, wave, clap wood against rock. Nothing. You wait. And eventually, they go. It's cold in the morning, hot by noon, cold again at dusk. Your lips crack, your feet blister. You drink only when the animals drink. Eat from a pouch, dried goat, old rice. At night, you sleep between the camels for warmth. They smell, they spit. But they're all you have. No one writes about you. No one praises your name. But without you, no army moves. No trade reaches the cities. No empire breathes. You're not a soldier, not a merchant, just a quiet figure between hooves and wind. And in the dark, as your body curls beneath coarse wool, you wonder if the desert will ever give your name back. The boy who rode too far, they say he was only 12 or maybe 13. No one is sure. He had no title, no clan name that survived, just a role. Water boy for a camel train. The caravan had left Karakoram in late spring, heading south through the Gobi. 20 camels, 3 traders, 1 quiet child. He was not meant to lead, not meant to be seen. Just carry the water skins, watch the animals, and keep to the rear. But one morning, after a sandstorm during the night, the led camel broke from line, spooked, perhaps, by lightning in the distance. And the boy, at half asleep, rubbing grit from his eyes, followed. The rest of the group waited. An hour passed, then when they found his footprints, they stretched east, away from the trail, alone. They tracked him for 3 days, small steps between the hoof. He had tried to turn back, but the wind kept shifting the dunes. Eventually, they found a camel collapsed, half a bit, and nearby, beneath a thin layer of sand, he was curled on his side, his water skin torn by the animal's pack rope. His face turned toward the camel, as if still trying to listen. They buried him there, piled stones over the site. No marker, no name, only a wooden tag, split in two with a scratched symbol for north. Years later, camel tenders would whisper of the place. Some called it the Boys' Bend, where the path curves to avoid the dunes, a small gesture, for someone who did not lead, but was not forgotten. And now, when a camel pauses too long in that stretch, they say, he hears him, and they wait, quietly. Bones beneath the salt road. There is a long line of stones in the Gobi Desert, barely visible from the air, but traceable for over 60 kilometers. It follows the salt road, an old caravan route that once connected oases to Mongol military outposts. In 1999, a team of archaeologists excavating near one of the trade mounds found something unexpected. Not pottery, not coins, but bones. Human, buried without ceremony, wrapped in old camel hide. Only a small blade, the kind used to trim hooves or slice dried meat. The skeleton belonged to a man in his 40s. Broad shoulders, heavily worn joints, and knees so compressed that it seemed he had spent his life in a squatting position. Near him were fragments of wood and rusted iron rings, pieces of pack saddles. The remains of 2 camels were buried nearby, both old, one with a shattered leg. There was no tomb, no more, just 3 bodies placed beneath the track as if buried where they fell. Perhaps they were left behind by a caravan in winter, or chose to stay when the camel collapsed, or simply ran out of time. The desert doesn't preserve stories, but it keeps their shapes. Each year, sand covers the spot. Then wind clears it. Then it returns. Locals call the site 3 backs. For the curved shapes that sometimes appear in the sand after the rain. No one visits, there's nothing to see, just stones and sky. But if you kneel and press your hand to the ground, you'll find heat there. Not from the sun, but from the memory of burden, of movement, of weight that never made it home. The caravan masters winter in the final stretch before the Altif. There is a pass known among old traders as Dead Spoke. Not for ghosts, not for battles, but because a single broken wheel once cost an entire winter journey. It was the year 1253, a harsh winter, one of the coldest in memory. A Mongol caravan master, recorded in a Chinese trader's diary simply as, was leading a group of 15 camels north through Gobi frost toward a border outpost. His job? Carry dry ink blocks, oil-soaked cloth, and grain. But the frost arrived early. The camels slowed, and one refused to cross the frozen stream. Tsamora ordered the bags moved. Then the saddle cracked. That was the first failure. One beast had to be slaughtered for warmth. Its meat dried by the fire. Its hide turned into makeshift boots. The caravan continued, but the cold deepened. 2 men left in the night. Never returned. Samor kept the ledger dry under his robe. He counted every item each morning. Not for duty, but for dignity. At the pass, with only 5 camels left, he lit a fire with his own saddle frame. The traders begged him to turn back. He said only, "The grain is needed." They went on. They arrived 11 days late. Only 2 men remained, Tsamora among them. He handed over the grain, the oil, the half-frozen ledger. Then he sat down, took off his boots, and wept quietly into his scarf. The record ends there, but a small temple near the pass still holds a wooden plaque, unmarked, except for the image of a wheel broken in 2. And sometimes, when the frost settles just right, caravanners say they see footprints beside the stone. Too small to be camel, too straight to be wind, and they know. The master still walks. Not for duty, not for memory, just to finish the journey. Dust without names. The history of the Mongol world is filled with speed. Horses, arrows, conquest. But none of it moved without someone walking slowly behind. With calloused hands, holding ropes, feeding camels. Tonight, you didn't ride into battle. You stitched cracked hooves at sunrise. You waited in silence beside an animal who wouldn't move. You followed the footsteps of a boy who wandered into the dunes. You touched bones buried under a salt road, and watched a caravan master burn his saddle to save a ledger. These were not warriors, not heroes, not rulers, just people who carried history on their backs and left no monument behind. But if you listen to the wind, if you sit still long enough, you might still hear them. Footsteps in gravel, the groan of a tired camel, a whispered curse at the cold. And in that stillness, remember, sometimes the quietest roles held the whole empire together. Rest now. The desert is calm. The trail is done, and the fire has gone out. Sleep well, and thank you for listening to Quiet History.